Hello viewers, welcome to my channel Science to Technology. In today's show, Computer Wednesday, we're going to talk about Samsung Galaxy Z TriFold. So let's dive deep into it. So this technology has reached a final form, meaning a dream is real now in 2026, so to say. And what is the dream? Well, dream always was to have a smartphone and still have the ability to carry a 10-inch iPad, so to say, in your pocket. So that's the whole point. Now, let this be very clear. While Samsung did manage to achieve it, it's a bit of a thick boy. Now, again, anyone who is old enough before this super thin phones with a giant camera bump, they're like, phone used to be that thick. Like, I remember my father's first mobile phone, which was like big deal, Samsung C100 color phone. Yeah, color phone was a big deal, and it was like once 11, basically 11 millimeter. That was like big selling point. It's like 11 millimeter thin. In contrast to this is like, bro, good. So how do you digest it? Think in this way. It's not a smartphone, it's a folding tablet. Now you're like, hey, this is very nice. So it's there. And I have to say, there was always an aura with Apple phones where in the early years, everybody's like, oh, poor people have Android and Apple is for rich people. Unfortunately, it worked a bit too well. Now everybody started buying Apple, and penalty is now everybody is showing it. So it's no longer rich. It's like everybody has it. But I have to say, folding phone, it's on a completely different ball game. Like you can't even afford this on an EMI. So this became the new way of showing mine's bigger than yours. And this is like, my bank balance is bigger than yours. So this became a really good zeitgeist change, so to say. And again, I have noticed this in politicians. Like, here's the few years ago, before folding phones, every rich person, iPhone. Now, after folding, it's like, whoa, whew, whew. So let that be, that's a very unique take. And let that be very clear, yes, Apple is working on a folding phone. I do not think the first model they will be bringing out would be TriFold. And let's see how that unfolds, so to say. So this is a funny switch of pace where it's like, oh, no. Poor people buy iPhones, rich people buy folding phones. And again, the price of this puppy is GG, meaning if you have to ask it, you can't afford it. And I think it will work for Samsung. Like, I think that will be a really good way of selling it. It's like, hey, it's not for poor people. Like, Rolex do not, begs for, it's like, oh, please buy us. Like, no, we are Rolex. So people buy it. So this could work. This could really work. And here's the Samsung has been working at it for 2019. So this clunky device to this smooth work, it's a big jump. And again, it shows, like, it's shocking. Like, they've reached from there to there. It's like quickly. And again, imagine it this way. At that launch event, you brought this there. Nobody would be able to digest it, that you will have something so thin, so closely folding, like, because that time folding was like this. They were not, because again, they could not do 90-degree. It took at least, if not mistaken, 4 folds where they finally reached a 90-degree fold. So having this was like unimaginable. This has two 90-degree folds. So what's the design of this? Well, dual hinges and triple section. That's why it's a trifold. And it has one outer display. Now, this is one thing you have to understand. Samsung is one of the world leading AMOLED display manufacturer, and they know for a fact that no matter what you do, the internal display is not that secure, so to say. We are not there yet. Like, technology is there. Technology, like the actual display technology, good. The material to protect it is not that good. So they're like, what's the next best thing we can do? We can have armored stuff, because again, if you are basically recently using your phone, you must have paid attention. We no longer worry about if it drops. Like, it's very rare, like very odd cases where you drop it and it cracks. Normal drop, I'm not talking like dropping it from first floor or second floor, but normal scenarios. Like, it is so robust now. And if you compare this to like early iPhones and early Androids, it was very fragile. So we have made amazing progress. So people going back will feel very awkward. So they're like, hey, we give you best of both worlds. We have a G-Shock screen, which is like, normal hardened screen, and then we have a Rolex screen on the bottom. So although people will say Rolex is designed for some heavy wear and tear, so okay. So you have one armored and one basic one. So enclosing it gives you the ability to use your smartphone in a rough environment, where it's like, dings and dangs, it does not damage it. And when you need that some flexing power, flex it. So that's why they have dual display design. Again, in Z Fold, you do have the luxury that you do not need second display. You can do it, but they did not. And learning from all past 6 years shows into the hinges, because again, be mindful, these are not symmetric hinges, meaning it's not the same on both sides. One hinge folds very quickly, another has to fold with a U, so it overlaps correctly. So that's a very what you call, it could not have been made like that. Technically, they did show. I'm pretty sure the concept was shown 4 or 5 years ago that they can have a folding screen. Because again, they were working with a rollable OLED. OLED technology is sorted. Like you can make a folding screen. This is like, yeah, we don't have the hinge design. We don't have the electronics sorted. We do not have the safety secured, so to say. And the fact that they have been working on this for like 6-7 years, the fact that it is water resilient. Now, again, it's not waterproof, but again, they are dunking it. That takes balls. Because compare this to Huawei Mate XT. It's like, no, do not bring it near water. They're like, here, water. And hinge fold is like, they are actually testing the hinge for millions of cycle. So they are saying like, it should be fine for 200,000 use. How the heck you reach that? Well, again, it's not Mark 1 product. It's Mark 5, 6, and I'm pretty sure it could be Mark 10, 20 internally. So, as again, it's normal, like you make multiple iterations, then you bring out whatever the working one is, then you do multiple iterations again, then you have a good one. So for us, like, okay, it's a 5th generation. For them, it would be like, yeah, this is 35th. So, 200,000 cycle folding test. That's the test that they are doing. That takes some balls. It's basically refinement. It's like, yeah, we have been doing this. We know how this works. It's good. It's done. It's sorted. So water resilience is like, that's the main thing to me. It's like, at least do not make a device that's like, oh, if I'm caught in the rain and it's like kapots itself. Like you can compare that to, Rolex also, because again, they do make dive cases. So it's like, water is not something that can damage it. Water should not be able to damage your smartphone nowadays. So it's like, I got you. Of course, do not go deep sea diving, but they should be able to handle a little bit of splash here and there. So design-wise, it's genuinely clever. Specification, and this shows that apparently I recently read the news that Samsung has reached the world's largest, like it actually outsold Apple now in terms of like units sold. So, and it does show the fact that they are working with Snapdragon now to fine tune their SoC for Galaxy. What does that mean? Think in this way, how AMD makes a GPU for you and I, but AMD also makes GPU for basically Valve. And because Valve is a corporation, they are doing bulk purchase, they get the luxury, hey, can you tweak it for us? And tada, they got a tweaked version. So it is the same thing, tweaked version. Now the tweak could be silicon level, or it could be like, silicon plus firmware level, or it could be firmware only, but there is some tweaking. So they are doing that. 16 gigabytes of RAM, which again, nowadays RAM prices are like going cuckoo. So 16 GB nowadays, again, regular. It may not sound shocking to, if this RAM crisis is over. If it's not over, we're like, whoa, they gave 16. It's like, yeah, it's a rich device. They're not cheaping out. 512 gigabytes of fast UFS memory is default. I'm like, just make it 1 terabyte default. Like then go like 1 terabyte to 2 terabyte. That would be cool. The battery is 5600 milliamp hour, 3-cell battery. Now, let us be very clear. Many Chinese companies are claiming new technologies like, anode and cathode replacement. So they have silicon anode or graphite anode, things of that nature. Hawaii does claim that they had that. But here's the ironic part. It had the exact same milliamp hour as this puppy. So either Samsung is using that same chemistry. They are just not, beating their chest about it, because that does come with a risk that it might blow up. They have experience with that, so they're like, yeah, let's not tempt fate. So because again, the volume, the surface area is more or less the same. So 5600 milliamp hour without doing some massive change in chemistry does not make sense. Now, if you're like, okay, don't we have phones that have like almost 7000 in a normal candy phone? Yes, deal. You have so many layers stacking. The milliliter space you have for chemistry, it's very little. So this battery has to be very dense, so to say, very energy capacity wise, very dense. Otherwise, it will not work. So I'm pretty sure they have changed it. So 5600 milliamp hour, and if you look at each of the slice of the batteries, they are very thin. Like if you put 3 of them, it's like, dude, it's thin. So that is there. And they have also upgraded 45 watt power delivery fast charging. So that is there. And this time their OLED company is running out of names. So it's Dynamic AMOLED 2X. They ran out of names. It goes up to 1600 nit. Now, like, okay, why not like 4000 or something? They can do that. It's just that it heats up too much. So folding screens are generally toned down rather than like, going YOLO like your front display, so to say. So 1600. Now, is that good? Here's the deal. Anything above 1000, you can generally see it outdoor. Anything above 1500, you good. Anything above 2000, it's really good at HDR content. Anything above 4000, it's like, professional level display. So this is more than good enough. And 120 hertz. So more people will be happy with that. As long as it's 1000 hertz, you can use it outdoor. As long as it's 120 hertz, it's a fast refresher display. So that is there. Android 16 with one UI for 7 years of security. Although let them be very clear, that security part is not that big of a deal, because again, if the app's support starts to die down, what's the point? There was a time Samsung used to make amazing feature phones, like old phones. Then my whole family jumped into this or that, either MI phone or this phone and all that. And Samsung did make phones. Samsung Grand, I think my father bought one, and it worked. It works till I think last I checked is 1 year ago or something like that. It was amazing, like 7-8 years old phone. It was working, but none of the app were working. YouTube was not working. And again, I have another relative who has a Samsung smartphone 9 years ago, and it's like, yeah, he uses it as his calculator and like, basic phone. But again, app support goes down. So this 7 years of security sounds very good. It's just that I'm genuinely worried that apps will start to poop out as quickly as like that 5-year time period is over. It's like, yeah, some apps will work, but most apps will be like, nope, just nope it. So that's why, like, long lifespan, again, it's not the fault of hardware. It's not the fault of the Samsung. It would be the fault of like whole ecosystem, so to say. But again, 5 years, I'll take 5 years over the old days of like 2 years. What is update? Like, if you remember early days of Android, it was like, hey, this is KitKat. It's like, why the heck it's KitKat? Oh no, this is Oreo. Why it is Oreo? Because there was no update. Even though hardware could have been updated, nobody thought of it. So it's much more improved. Like, again, looking from large snapshot point of view, we have made amazing progress even on Android, and a lot of advanced materials have been put into this puppy. Because again, if you compare this to any tablet, it will look horrifyingly thin. How the heck this is that thin? It's like, it's as thick as USB-C port itself. I'm like, damn, this puppy is thin. Once you fold it, it's like, oh, it's thick. Oh, open it, is thin. It's not like, balance. Like Z Fold 6 is like, yeah, balance. This is like, no, it's either extreme. Either it's completely fat folded phone or completely thin tablet. So that is there. So a lot of material has been used, meaning they reduced the number of armored Gorilla Glass and all that. They added carbon fiber glass reinforced polymers, because again, nothing else will work in this sort of system. Hinges are titanium because nothing else will work. So they have done that, and it's a heavy puppy, 309 gram. Now it's normal for me because I used to use Samsung F62, if I'm not mistaken, that had like 7000 milliamp hour battery. It was big. It was big, fat, chunky phone. So there are a lot of people who are used to this sort of weight. And again, do not think as a smartphone. Think as a tablet that you can fold. Then that weight becomes like, hey, it's a lightweight. And folding phones as in like screen is still sensitive. You have to be careful of that. Like, outside screen, go YOLO on it. Inside screen, be gentle with it. Now, so far, it's like, it's another fancy folding phone. But here's the deal. This is where it shines, is that the polish. Because of the fact that you are changing the aspect ratio. If you have two rectangles, you put it together, it kind of becomes like a square. That's the worst interface layer. Why? Nobody designs material, like website, applications for square. None of them. Like, either it would be rectangle or rectangle that is rotated 90 degree. That's it. Either it's horizontal or vertical. It's always wide screen. Nobody designs anything other than that. So having this sort of screen where, even though like, hey, I can watch like larger screen, you can't. All you are seeing is black bars because of that fact. And this, because it becomes now a rectangle, now the surface area, useful surface area on a video file, 16:9 video file, it's much larger. That's a big jump. Basically, twing, twing. This is so little that is like almost like you are rotating your phone. That's it. So that's why a lot of people are like not that productively useful with Z Fold. Yeah, you can read some documentation, but who is reading that much? And this, somebody compared this to practical thing. It's A4 sheet paper. If you want to understand what's the size, A4 sheet paper, almost. So here you can actually read the whole document. Here you can watch much better screen, much better display. You can enjoy like, movies and TV shows on a plane far more effectively. Here it's not that much useful. Here it's like, whoa. So it's a big jump going from square to rectangle. So it's a smaller rectangle on the outside, bigger rectangle on the inside. It's not like rectangle and then you have a weird square. So that's the big jump. Again, user interface wise, that matters a lot. That's the difference between this being a useful device to being a gimmicky device. That's a big deal. And Samsung this time is paying attention to DeX. I bought this like first time in my life I'm buying bit of an expensive Samsung device, Samsung S23 Fan Edition. Yes, that's my upper limit. That's how much I can afford for a phone. But again, my dream was like that phone because again, it has USB-C 3.0 as in 5 Gbps. I should be able to connect it and use it as a laptop. In principle, it does that. DeX does allow me to do that. Basically, go to any hotel and all that, plug my smartphone on this end, plug HDMI to TV, tada! I should be able to do everything. It's just that the app is not cooked yet. They haven't been cooking it, even though it's old at this point in time. It's very old. If I'm not mistaken, S2 or S3. Yes, S2 or 3 had that. That's how long ago they had, but they never paid attention. And Samsung was like very late to understand that hardware means nothing without the operating system. Because the biggest issue why Android tablets did not shine is that nobody bothered to change the UI scaling. If you have a smartphone, you're like, okay, why do you cannot open tabs? Some people will inherit, oh, it does not have enough pixels, or like, it's a small. It's like, no, it has the same full HD resolution as my like 24-inch full HD display. That's normal. It's just that UI scaling is designed for that 6 inches, not pixel, 6 inches size wise. When you are designing it for 10 inches, it has to change the paradigm. And again, it has to change in such a way that, hey, start using keyboard, start using mouse. But all the UI elements have to be a bit different. It cannot be so small that it can only be used with mouse. It has to be designed so your finger can A, look at it, B, point at it and click it reliably. So it does require some UI scaling properly done. This part I have to say Apple did bit better, but Apple started to poop itself because they're like, hey, if we actually made iPad Pro being Pro, that creates an issue. It's like, why would people buy Mac? Yeah, I'm not joking. A lot of advanced features are being blocked simply because they're like, hey, if we actually made iPad Pro, why would people buy Macs? That's how close we are right now in 2026, so to say. We are so close that we can have a tablet from any manufacturer. The silicon wise, it is powerful enough that is like it can be a decent laptop, like actually decent laptop. It's only being held back by operating system, and not even operating system itself, it's the user interface layer. Or in case of Apple, they are actually blockading feature. No, you can't open this format even though it's the same silicon as a Mac. It's like, yeah. And again, Samsung does not have that issue. Google does not have that issue, but they never put attention to that. This, because it's a flagship device, and again, it would be in Samsung's best interest to really fine-tune it. And they have the framework. That's the good part. They have the DeX. Like half of the hardware is there. And all the software system base core is there. They just have to tune it. Like this should, like that's the big jump. In a folded state, it's a smartphone. In an open state, it's no longer a big smartphone. It's a computer. That's the whole point. That focus on that DeX, that made me really happy. That, hey, you should be able to use these things as a full-fledged desktop. Why can't I do video editing on that? It has the hardware, horsepower and all that. Why can't I watch a YouTube like as a desktop YouTube? So all of the things are there. And that approach where it's like, no, we are not making a bigger phone, we are making a full-fledged PC. That makes me very happy. And past 7 years of polish actually shows there. There are a lot of small things that you have to scale effectively. They scaled it, and it actually makes their life easier because it's a 2 independent screen. They're like, dude, sure, this is format in that, folded one completely different. It actually makes their life easier rather than UI where they have to make sure dynamically keep switching. So it does make their life a bit easier. 2-in-1 kind of benefit. So basically, you have a tablet, you work, you do your stuff, and then you fold it and put it in your pocket and go away. So what can we expect in the future? Well, we are so close to that one device to rule them all. This is my dream, where you have your TV, your monitor, keyboard, mouse, and you plonk your smartphone the end. You should not need to buy desktop anymore. Like, there is no reason, especially for a lot of lightweight application. Of course, if you're doing AI training or, basically compiling Linux kernel, go YOLO on it. But like for most people, you don't need that. Your smartphone can do that. It has the hardware. And again, I'm genuinely pissed at the Samsung and every other brand that only in their flagships they allow HDMI output, even though USB-C specifically has HDMI output into it. Like it can tunnel DisplayPort signal or HDMI signal. So it's designed that way. Like This thing does not require advanced circuitry. It was designed that way. USB-C was designed that way, that it can do that. They're just like, nah, they never refined it. So, and again, like the hardware is there. You can buy it, you can use it. It's just that Motorola does that, and still they're like 80% there. But again, I can't blame them. They are too small of a company. Samsung, they're like, bro, you had this golden goose for so long, you never cooked it. But this time I'm hopeful. Like, this was the old, as in like 10 years ago. I have linked the video from 10 years ago, where that was the idea from Asus. It's like, you're gonna have a smartphone and you're gonna have a bigger display. You plonk it down, tada. And again, that's the whole point. Your tablet is not that much different. It's just a bigger screen and bigger battery. So why not have more ability to do more? And it's no longer like, oh, x86 can do that many things and ARM can't. At this point in time, it's opposite. It's like ARM can do everything. x86 can't do that much. So this is the whole dream that we are working towards. Basically, your pocket has a smartphone, and that same pocket also has a computer. Meaning you come into your home, you dock that puppy, the end. Your computer is there. So, and again, this also is very great for material engineer. Material engineer now have to flex, because again, we got that electrical engineers like, bro, I made you a folding AMOLED, rollable AMOLED. What more do you want? They did their part. Now it's the material engineer's job how to safeguard that puppy. Let it be clear, almost everything is sorted. Hinges are far more robust. Waterproofing is already being sorted. The fold mechanism itself can handle it. All things are sorted. It's just that shield. We need some sort of like of katana technology. Basically, you have katana. When they cook it, they put clay on the backside. You see the white markings? Those are clay. So why do you do that? So you temper the blade harder than the backside. So harder steel retains edge. Awesome. But again, it becomes shatterable. Like you hit something very hard, it can shatter. The back, because they do not allow it to temper, again, that's the whole point of clay, it becomes a shock absorber layer, basically a softer metal. We need something like that, where you have a glass layer, the three panels would be very hard, but where it starts to fold, it has to become soft there. So some sort of tempering mechanism has to be there. And again, wouldn't that make it weak on the edges? Yes, but it would be better in the most places. So again, somebody will be crazy enough to solve this, and we're gonna look back into this like, a few years from now. It's like same way we are looking at this, like, oh, do you remember they used to have folding phones and they were very sensitive? Now we throw them from the rooftop, and who cares? So somebody has to solve it. Like the biggest material change I have seen, if claims are true, Formlab 3D resin company finally figured out a resin that is so good, so strong, that if they give you this part, hey, this is a ABS part, injection molded normal plastic part versus our 3D printed part, most people can't tell the difference. Testing also barely shows the difference. It's like you can just swap it. That's how good they have become. Again, they are claiming that, but again, it should be doable. So I'm just hoping for some material engineers like, let me fix it. Oh, be mindful, the Gorilla Glass is from Soviet Union. So we had technology. Maybe we had some other technology that we have not looked into it, and now somebody's like, now it's my time for rolling glass. So that is there. And in terms of battery chemistry improvement, that should solve the weak battery, because while 6,000, almost 6,000 milliamp hour battery is good, but it's not good for 10-inch display. So that is there. And Android will benefit a lot from DeX improvement. We should have this. Like, this is the easiest way to reduce e-waste. Like, we could do so much more. And again, DeX in TriFold would be big enough cultural attention that it would be Samsung's best interest to put attention to. It would be in some best interest for some video editing application that's like, hey, we fine-tuned it that you can use it. It could work. Like, I'm almost see it. Like, we are reaching there where it's like, hey, your smartphone, it's a computer. It's not just like, you can make a phone call and play some games. No, it is a computer now. It has horsepower now. So this was my presentation on basically Samsung TriFold and why I'm so excited about it. I hope you have liked it, learned from it. In that case, please click the like button, share it amongst your friends. That will help me a lot. If you didn't like it, didn't enjoy it, I urge you to press dislike. Press it twice to show me it's disappointment. Please leave a comment, because I do try to reply to all of them. Subscribe, press the bell icon if you're free, and as always, thanks for watching.